Welcome again. It's another conversation in our second hour breakfast extra here for Sunday. Nigeria's education system is undergoing a new wave of reforms and they are stirring nationwide debate. The federal government has introduced sign language as a compulsory subject in basic education, a significant step towards inclusive learning for students with hearing impairments. At the same time, policy shifts are relaxing admission requirements, including the removal of mathematics as a compulsory subject for certain arts and humanities fields. These changes raise critical questions. Are these reforms visionary moves toward an inclusive, flexible education system or rushed decisions? The implications, well, they are far-reaching.
Far-reaching indeed. And so to discuss this is Ronke Adeniyi. She's an educationist and parenting coach, and she's going to help us to unpack what these reforms will truly mean for our classrooms, as well as our university lecture halls and the future of Nigerian learners. Ms. Adeniyi, many thanks for joining us. We appreciate you for coming on. Let's look at these reforms, shall we, and start with the sign language inclusion to flexible subject policies. Do you see an intentional progress or fragmented policy responses?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. I actually see a little bit of a cocktail for disaster. It's exciting. It is good to be inclusive. We all need to be inclusive in whatever we are doing, whether it's education or otherwise. The challenge here is that we are cooking too many things at the same time. At the start of September 2025, we had our curriculum revised. We already had so many challenges with regards to implementation. Say, for example, the introduction of history. We've been told to pilot it with year 1 and year 4 because this new curriculum was introduced just days before the new term. There was no time for training. There was no time for intensive review. We just had to implement. Whilst it's a good idea and it's been a long time coming and we've been waiting for it for so long, it just is so sudden. Now, when it comes to this sign language, yes, it is good. Do we have the teachers that will do this? We don't have enough teachers to do many things in Nigeria. We don't have a lot of qualified teachers. We don't even have a lot of interested teachers. A lot of people in the education sector because they were forced to do education. There's a lot of examination malpractice. And now you're telling them that in terms of digital literacy, they all should be digital literate. You're telling them now that they should do sign language. When are we going to pilot it? When is the training going to happen? It just seems like, you know, when you promise a 5-year-old many Christmas presents, and then when it's almost Christmas time, you realize that you don't have the funds for it. That is what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing so many things happening all at once. Yes, they are the step in the right direction, but when it comes to execution, I don't think we have got it. There are just so many convoluted moving parts all at once, and we need to take it in bite-sized chunks. That's what I think.
Ms. Adeniyi, thank you very much for that. That's very interesting. Sign language, I did see a Nigerian TikToker, Hawa. She made a very interesting humanitarian plea telling how sign language is very important to especially young people who have hearing impairments. So it really got me thinking, to every occasion that we go to, are we neglecting people who have these hearing impairments? But let's talk about mathematics now. Mathematics has been removed for certain art and humanitarian studies for requirements into universities. And many are wondering whether it is dumbing down our education or whether it's actually relief. Is it relief or is it going to, down the line, well, ruin something? We had the problem with history that was taken away. Now mathematics, if we took away our story, are we taking away logic this time?
With regards to history, they brought it back. So I really do hope that schools hold on to that history because our children are losing their roots and there's an identity crisis in the nation. So I just want to put it out there that schools that don't know that history is back in the curriculum, they should please ensure that they continue with history. With regards to mathematics, yes, it is dumbing down the system. It is dumbing down our children. Have you tried to have a conversation with a typical university student these days? Have you tried to engage them? And it's not even necessarily only in Nigeria, to be honest. Try and hold a conversation. There's no depth to their conversations. And why am I not talking about English? Why am I talking about mathematics? Because we assume that maths is just numbers. Maths is important for critical thinking skills. It's important for problem solving, reasoning, which we don't see. When you hire a lot of these young people, you see that the minute you tell them 1 + 1 is 2, if you tell them 1.5 + half, they don't know because they are not able to reason. Mathematics is important for reasoning. Is it my favorite subject? It is not my favorite subject, but it has its place in society. It has its place in our lives, day-to-day lives. You want to buy something sometimes, people cannot reason. People cannot solve problems. And the problem that the answers we need, the solutions we need in Nigeria, they need reasoning. They need critical thinking skills. So I do believe that it should not be removed from the curriculum at all. I feel it should still be there because it is not just about doing certain numbers and just calculating and finding X and finding Y that a lot of people have been saying that they've been looking for X since they were young. They've been looking for Y since they were young. It is important beyond just finding X and finding Y. Reasoning, critical thinking skill, problem solving, we need that for our children. We need them to have a bit of depth or a bit more depth than they already do.
Let's circle back to sign language. You talked about something you said, you made a case, and you said that Nigeria is, at this time, as much as, it's as a, well-developed, is a welcome, but at the same time, we seem to be cooking so much at the same time, and we're not focused on one. And so it begs to ask a question about our preparedness, for our schools. If this is going to be implemented, what level of preparedness are we looking at in terms of whether trained teachers, learning materials, infrastructures that will be able to deliver on sign language? It is important when you think about inclusivity, as you rightfully put, but how prepared are our systems?
Yes, you've summarized it very well. Now, if you think about the typical school, how many schools have ramps just even to get people into the schools? When we talk about additional needs, we should understand that it's not just about people that cannot hear, people that are hard of hearing and things like that. There are a lot of moving parts. A lot of people, in fact, we all have additional needs in one capacity or the other. Now, if we're going to do it, the teachers that are going to do it, who are they? How are we going to do it? Schools are already dealing with, they told us to do robotics, they told us to do coding. How are we going to do it? Now they're telling us to do sign language. When is the training going to happen? Can we pilot a few states? Is it possible to see so that we can have a template that we can follow? Who is going to do it? Where are they doing? Who is involved in all this? When we are doing all this, bringing out all these rules and policies that are great, who are the people behind it? The people that... there's a body, it escapes my mind, that have to do with sign language. Are they involved in it? In this, they need to be the ones to pilot it and tell us how we are going to do it. Schools are there to educate children, yes, but there's some things that they will still need hand-holding for. How are they going to implement this sign language that they want? Already, when it comes to inclusion, there's so many basic things that schools do not have. They don't know how to support a lot of children in many, many ways. And then now we've added this to it. Let us have a template to see how it's going to work. Let us know how we're going to train the teachers. Who is going to create the curriculum for this sign language? Has it been done? Where is it? It's just like we're just throwing things, like a wish list. I want this, I want that, I want that. And they are all great. We actually do want it. But how are we going to fund it? What is the training? What is the curriculum going to look like? Or we just do anything we want in the schools? Everybody will just go there, throw their hands and throw their legs and do anything that they want? Who is going to monitor it? Who are the regulatory bodies behind it? How is it going to happen? If you want to do something, as they say, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. But I don't see how it's going to be done. I just feel it's another policy that has just been put out there. So now they have to deal with robotics, remove mathematics, do coding, entrepreneurship in the schools. There's just so many things.
Okay.
Where is the template? It's too random, it's too chaotic, it's convoluted in so many ways. And we really, really need hand-holding and guidance. That is what schools need. Yes, a lot of private schools will fly with it, just like they did during the COVID. And when they brought this coding and robotics, a lot of schools are already doing it. We do that already at Lepore School where I work. So that happens in many private schools. But private schools are not the only schools, they're not the majority. So we need it to be done well. And even some private schools, many private schools, will still need hand-holding when it comes to this sign language that we're trying to introduce in the schools.
So my question is whether you agree that the government is looking at the symptoms and not the disease. If we're looking at the subjects and taking away the subjects to dumb the curriculum just so our students can get into universities, perhaps we should be taking a look at the teachers. Do you think the teachers are adequately trained? Do you think that the method with which they train or teach children are even, perhaps maybe they're outdated? If we're still using chalkboards where in other climes they're using computers, then aren't we far back? Is the government distracted? Should we be training better teachers instead of subtracting subjects?
Absolutely, we should train better teachers. With mathematics, a lot of people don't like maths. Maybe I'm sitting on the fence, I don't know. I like maths, but I'm somewhere in the middle. Where am I trying to get to? The problem with maths in many cases is that the maths teachers may know maths. They may know how to answer the questions. But when it comes to teaching, the methodology, the strategy that they will use to transfer that knowledge, it's inadequate. So indeed, they do need to know how to deliver their lessons. They need training to teach mathematics because it can be complex and the teacher can be absorbed in their own world. Teaching, you see, yes, we need computers and everything, but the reality is we are where we are. We have to work with the teachers that we have that are interested. There are not too many math teachers. So we have to work with what we have. Whether or not we have enough computers is a different case. Everything's not going to happen overnight. So I understand. And I don't like creating wish lists and start saying, oh, the government should bring 1 million computers to the schools before we can do well. Our children, some of our children have been doing well globally without having fancy gadgets. So it's still possible. But we'll need well-trained teachers in our schools. We need teachers, because if teachers are cheating in the training schools, if they're cheating their way in the training schools, when they get to the classroom, they wouldn't even know how to do it. I interview teachers oftentimes, and you find that teachers don't know mental maths. They can't carry it in their head. By the time you're telling them that 7 times 7 times 2, you've lost them. Even the 7 times 7 is a problem in many cases. And that is the reality. And there's no school that is devoid of it if you are hiring teachers in this Nigeria. Because examination malpractice is a thing. It is a thing in Nigeria. So our teachers, the depth is not there. The content is not there. We need to address that examination malpractice that is happening in the training schools so that we can have the best. And then jump again, they said 100 points to be a teacher, 100 points. So it's enough for you to fail and become a teacher. So the roots, we really need to get to the roots before we even start talking about computers. People that can do the maths, just be able to do the maths. We'll get to the point where we will train you on the computers. But know the content, don't cheat your way through it. And don't dumb down the teachers. Don't say that a teacher that is not very academically sound should be the person that will be in the classroom trying to, deliver this content to the teachers.
Right.
The other day, there was a lady that was going viral on social media. She had the first class. She had so many 300 and something points. She wanted to go into education, and people were dragging her. They said, "Why don't you go and do another course like engineering or whatever the case may be? Why would you want to be a teacher?" Those are the people that should be teachers. Think about China. Think about Finland. Think about Norway. Think about Sweden. The teachers are the best. They're well respected and well revered in society. They are intelligent people. A lot of them have master's degree, PhDs. But here in Nigeria, anything goes.
And also, I think the culture also does matter as well, because there's a culture within the teachers. The math teachers is notoriously known as a no-nonsense, strict, or authoritarian type, character. The history teacher is almost deemed like a desical. If you like, learn your history. If you like, don't learn. And the Yoruba teacher is known as, there's always a culture as well, and a stereotypical way of, standard. And I think that needs to also be addressed as we're talking about training teachers. But away from that, let's talk about the curriculum itself, right? And you've raised a very solid point about how, it's convoluted and we don't seem to have a direction. It makes me wonder what the impact will be on the children itself, and their learning journey as they are being prepped into university and become society contributors to society at large?
Okay, so I already talked about problem solving. I've already talked about critical thinking. This already, we see it in the business world. Employers talk about it all the time. It's all over social media. It's all over LinkedIn, where we're talking about the capacity of our youth. What are they able to do? You find that a lot of them, they just cannot think outside the box. They just cannot solve problems. So we need that. The issues are already there. The impact, we're already seeing it in our society. Even the history that people are running away from. Our children have identity crisis. Our children don't know their roots. Even when they japa, they don't know their roots. They feel the need to speak with an accent. They don't want to eat Nigerian food. They don't want to wear Nigerian clothes. They'll have to wear a weave. There's so many issues. And when we don't know our roots, we are just but air. Because we must connect to our roots. In doing that, we must also give when our children are made to do things like mathematics and solve critical problems, it also gives them that capacity, that resilience, that elasticity. It gives them that. So we must ensure that we keep it so that we can have children that are more robust. I can't even imagine if a country like China, because mathematics is also linked, it's cross-curricular. It's not only mathematics. You can use it in technology, for example. I cannot imagine a country like China to say that children should not do mathematics. Look at what they are doing globally in terms of technology. Do you think technology is not mathematics? It is mathematics in many, many ways. But then in Nigeria, we're dumbing it down. Even the content that the algorithm pushes to our children, it's not something that will educate or inspire them. We keep getting nasty content. Go to other countries, you will see that a lot of the content that is being pushed to the children, China again, you will see that it's a lot of technology. Mm-hmm. All this twerking and all those things that we see on our own timelines are not what the algorithm is pushing today. What is the government doing in terms of pushing education out? Even when our children do well, when they get first class and they get multiple scholarships in different places, how do we reward them? We give them 10,000 naira. But then when we have other programs where also moral decadence is happening, we give them 80 million naira. So the challenges are there. It doesn't appear to me that the country in itself is taking education seriously. And that's why we are removing mathematics. That's why we're just doing anything. And we're just cooking a cocktail of disaster. That's essentially what we are doing. So we are seeing it in our children on a daily basis. We are not deep.
We are indeed. I have a very dramatic scenario to paint here, and it has to do with apartheid, South African politics. So we see how apartheid affected the education of South Africans. That sort of left a lacuna. And when we see how that applies to their everyday life or even politics, how they apply themselves to politics, we don't see a very, amongst the young people, logical way of applying into politics. It's more militaristic. Now, with the absence of history for a while, that gap that we created in Nigeria where we took it out of our curriculum, how do you think this is going to play in the political landscape in the future, where these young ones will have to take the helm of affairs in the nation?
Okay, great question. Now, when it comes to history, I'm almost 50, and I hardly know anything. Well, as at 3-4 years ago, I hardly knew much about history. I had to become a student of history when I realized how important history is. So even when I want to fight for my nation, how patriotic can somebody be when they don't even know what they should be patriotic to? Look at the way Japa is. We are going to other nations and building other nations because we don't know our history. We don't know what to be proud of because it's not taught in schools. Even the little history that is taught in the schools, you would realize that it is watered down. It's not enough to keep someone patriotic. It's not enough to keep somebody rooted in culture. Then you're talking about politics. The typical person or typical youth in Nigeria, when they want to go to politics, they assume it's somewhere they're going to make money because they read everything in the media. They read about politicians that have done one disservice or the other, who should be in jail, but as a matter of fact, they are being celebrated and they're still roaming the streets. So when it comes to politics, they don't understand what it truly means. When it comes to history, they don't know their roots. They don't know what to be proud of. And that is why you see that a lot of Nigerians don't even want to be Nigerians. When you ask a German child or a Jewish child what it is to be Jewish, they will answer you. A typical Nigerian child does not know what it is to be Nigerian. They will tell you about fraud, no light, no power. They only know the negative things, as if Nigerians don't do anything that is positive. We go all around the world. We go to other countries and we are pioneering things. We are doing a lot of things. In recent times, I still heard about a doctor who did a prostate surgery in Victoria Island. This was like a week or two ago. That is not going to, the blogs are not going to carry that one and make it go viral. They keep pushing the negative narrative. And our children don't know history. History should be mandatory. It's not supposed to be something that we're celebrating just in October. It should be something that is constant. So that if they know, then when it comes to that politics that you're talking about, they will know exactly what it is to fight for. Right now, they don't know anything to fight for. The dream of the typical Nigerian is to japa. That is aspirational for most of them. So when it comes to politics, politics is not playing its part the way it should, because to many, it's a money-making scheme.
Right. Sorry. Excuse me. Let me just come here, right? And very quickly, I have to say this. As we're talking about the wave of Japa, I think that this is a cultural issue, right? And not necessarily an education problem. And correct me if I'm wrong. As there is a problem that we're having here in Nigeria. First of all, the sales of books. Back in the day, we had books that we could buy for as little as 1,000, or rather even 500 naira. There were used books that we could buy.
I remember buying books for 25 naira.
25 naira. Books have changed. It's now expensive. A children's book is as expensive as 7,000. A fiction. You know, I'm not even going to talk about bestsellers, which is going as high as 15 and 17,000. There is a matter of, you know, purchasing power and indices that are slowly declining and slowly falling short, meaning that parents have to choose between food and a book. What has now happened is our reading has also dwindled as well. Now, you can say that mathematics is an issue, is part of critical thinking, and no one is disputing that. But also, reading is important, because when you have op-eds, you have articles, you have literature, you're having different characters, you are able to read and see through people's eyes and bringing forth arguments into debates and, you know, and the policy or the polity. That is slowly dying. And I think that at this core of it is about, you know, structure and what is going on in our polity, with the politics, with economy at the fore of it. Because if we're changing our curriculum here and we're making it inclusive, which is a step in the right direction, in my opinion, giving sign language and what it means for inclusion, for workplace, it means that a deaf person can work in a place like this and everyone can be able to sign language with them perfectly normal. Or I mean a dumb person or a person who cannot speak, and I sign language with them and it's perfectly normal. But at the core of it is money and the economy. So as we're looking at the future of our education, what is at stake here? What lies at stake? Who are the people we need to hold accountable? Is it the ministers? Is it the teachers? Is it more funding? Is it more access to books? Or is it the culture itself, the parents?
Great. It is everybody that you have listed. When was the last time that a parent read a book to a child? If you ask a typical adult, which book are you reading? They're not reading any book. They are searching the blogs. It is the blogs that, even newspapers, you find that a lot of people are getting their information from the blogs. Reading culture has died even before today, even before 10 years today. The reading culture in Nigeria has died. You know, many years ago, if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. It is still the same thing today. You see that people don't read. Have you not seen online where somebody will write all the instruction and say, this is what I'm selling, or this is what the matter is, and somebody will still write in the comment section, I'm interested, or they will ask a question about what has already been written. People do not go to the end. They can't be bothered. It is micro-learning now. They just want to flip and scroll 30 seconds and they are done. And it's very important that people are reading. We must understand that, yes, books are expensive, but there are second-hand books that are available. The same parents used to buy a lot of second-hand books, but everybody is woke now. Nobody wants to buy second-hand books. They are available. And there's a difference between reading an e-book and also reading a physical book. It is very important that we are holding that book and having that, you know, being able to have the discipline and the patience, time to be able to read a book. Parents are not reading. If parents are not reading, their children are not going to read. Teachers are definitely not reading. I will tell you that one for free. I'm in the system. Yes, teachers are not reading. So if they don't read, how would they know history? How would they transfer the knowledge? So when it comes to funding, we need funding. But even if the government brings 1 million books, who will read it? Are they going to read it? Let's be realistic. So when we're having all those competitions and trying to motivate the children, we should motivate them to read a book and to be able to give us a summary about the book or act a play from the book. Encourage that reading culture. Let it be books that people are, anything that has to do with literacy is what we should be pushing in the society. Unfortunately, that's not what we are pushing. We keep pushing these competitions about all sorts of other things. I don't want to name them, so it doesn't look like I'm picking on anybody, but we are pushing the wrong things that are not going to develop our economy and our people and our youth. We need to ensure that we're pushing the right things. Give us all the money, give us everything in the world if people don't want to do the work. Now, I heard, was it Sweden or Norway? I'm not sure which country. In recent times, they're trying to ban social media from children, social media and even devices from children under the age of 15. They don't want them to have access to social media because they have seen the effects on their economy. They have seen the effects on their children, so they want to remove it. Can Nigeria move in that direction? Can they move in that direction? Because what we're celebrating now, we're celebrating 10-year-olds that are spraying words of money by the poolside. Adults are there collecting the money, picking it up from the ground. What are the consequences for things like that? You see, a lot of our problems, we can solve them ourselves. It is the elephant in the room, but we are pretending as if we cannot see those things. We know what to do. We go to other countries and help them to solve their problem. We have become a training ground, a breeding ground in Nigeria. We're not dumb. We're very, very intelligent. And that is why it disappoints me that we continue to rely on British curriculum and American curriculum and other kind of curriculum, and we cannot have anything called an African curriculum in our continent. We're so intelligent. We know what to do. What is stopping us? I don't know. You go to a restaurant, it is the Lebanese. The roads, you see that it's the Chinese that are fixing it. The schools, even parents will tell you, do they have Oyinbo head of school? The inferiority complex that we have, we believe that we can't do it. Even if you go and get a foreigner that is not smart and put that person in a school because of the color of their skin. And that is why history is important. Because of the color of their skin, people will enroll their children into schools. We can see foreign schools coming to recolonize us in Nigeria. And we are still just looking. We are allowing it. We're saying, oh, they're charging 50 million. We're making noise on social media.
There's also a class indices as well. I must say it's also a class indices as well, because Nigeria is extremely classist, and the elite will want to send their children to anything that is tied to America or British, and the head is speaking grammar. Hello, Ronke, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Let's wrap it up.
Mrs. Ronke Adeniyi,
What is colonization? Let me wrap it.
Exactly.
This is colonization. I lived in the UK for 20 years. 20 good years. I lived abroad. And I'm not colonized.
We
it is
have
the
to round
colonization
this
of the
discussion
mind.
up.
And it's worse than colonization in chains.
Mrs. Adeniyi, this is where we have to wrap this conversation.
Yes,
Mostly,
indeed.
thank you for taking out the time to join us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
By the way, yes, indeed, it is Norway. They're trying to stop their children from 15 stop using social media because of how it affects them, except for educational purposes. Once again, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day.